Right now at 6 o'clock, work is underway to limit interactions between bears and humans. We'll tell you more about a bill working its way through the state legislature.
A lawsuit filed against Stone Academy. What former students are accusing the institution of doing.
Also calls for greater resources to prevent gun violence in our state. We'll tell you what some community members say they want to see change.
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good morning. Thanks for being with us this Thursday here at Fox 61, America Areas.
And I'm Tim Lammers. Good morning to you. Hey, May the 4th be with you. It sort of snuck up on me here.
I know, me too.
May 4th today. Matt Scott joins us now with the forecast. I forget, were you always more of Star Trek than Star Wars?
Yeah. Oh, you were Trekkie.
I wasn't really either, but I kind of gravitate towards Star Trek more than the Star Wars franchise.
Definitely Star Wars over here.
That's all right. There's enough room in this for all of us, and you know, live long and prosper on this May 4th. We have a forecast that's cool and cloudy, not great. Kind of the low point of the week in terms of the temperatures and the conditions. Slowly, however, improvements await, and we have a fab weekend and into next week. We'll talk about that coming up. Here's a live look at the radar. We have 1 or 2 spot showers, very light rain out there. This is pretty much how it's going to be, how it's been. Although it's starting to turn in our favor as we get this low finally pushing out to sea, and that will allow conditions to change. Mid to upper 40s for your temperatures, 49 in New Haven, 48 Hartford and Groton. I don't see the temperatures warming up too much more from that, which means if we get to 52 when the kids are getting off the bus later on, that's running about a dozen and a half under normal. Not good at all. Talk about that forecast and the better part of it coming up in a few minutes. Let's say hello to our Princess Leia of the bunch. Here's Lauren Zenzi. Good morning with traffic.
I can't call myself that because I honestly have never seen Star Wars. Oh. I have an assignment tonight. It's my homework.
Yeah, you're going to have to watch all 82 movies.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. I was already 2 behind. I can't start now. Good morning to you, Matt. Good morning, everyone. We had a lot of road work out on the road overnight. Luckily, a lot of that has cleared. 84 over in the Waterbury area. 691 over in Meriden, but we are still following some heavier volume out on the roadways due to some road work over on Route 2, and this is heading over in the Glastonbury area, even East Hartford, Route 3 as well. There are intermittent lane closures between exits 5 and 5A, so just be mindful of this if you are heading out the door, heading on Route 2. It might take you an extra couple of minutes over the next couple of hours. Over in Meriden, we had some intermittent lane closures on 691 east and westbound. Those have since cleared. Hartford drive times 91, 84, Route 2 not looking too bad as of right now. And then as we take a look down in Fairfield County, we're starting to see that heavier volume starting to build on the southbound side of I-95. We'll check back in on the roads coming up at 6:30. For now, Tim and Erica, I'll say good morning to you.
Lauren, good morning to you. Thank you.
Well, a bill aimed at addressing the increasing number of human-bear interactions is making its way through the state legislature.
Fox 61's Brooke Griffin is live at the state capitol this morning with what this means for you. Brooke, good morning.
Good morning to you both. The state of Connecticut saw a record number of bear sightings and bears getting into houses and into trash cans last year. And Connecticut lawmakers want to try to get a handle on that as those sightings keep increasing. The bill would allow people to use deadly force on a bear if the bear is on their property and harming a human, pet, or their livestock. It also would allow people to apply for a permit to kill a bear if it's regularly causing damage to their crops. This bill is also trying to prevent the intentional and unintentional feeding of bears. The bill states that failing to take down bird feeders, leaving pet food outside, or not properly securing your trash is bait for a bear, and if it gets into those items, then that could result in a fine for you. This all coming as human-bear interactions are increasing across the state. Within just the past couple of weeks, numerous sightings have been reported. An Avon woman was bitten by a bear while out walking her dog, and in the same town, a bear tried to break into a man's home. The Friends of Animals organization says everybody needs to remember that people and bears live in the same areas here, and it's important to have respect for each other, and some lawmakers agree.
We need to change our behaviors so that we can live in concert with them and we can avoid these dangerous human-bear interactions.
And of course, this bill still has several steps that it needs to go through before it could actually become a law. Now, if that does end up happening, it would potentially happen over the next couple of weeks. We, of course, will keep you updated on that bill. Live in Hartford, Brooke Griffin, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Brooke, thanks so much. Well, state police are still looking for a missing camper in Kent. So take a look at your screen right here. We're talking about 60-year-old Marta Renee Bowen. She went missing from her campsite on the Appalachian Trail. She has gray hair, brown eyes, and she's about 5'7". Troopers say she may be wearing a maroon puffer jacket and dark pants. Her cell phone and hiking gear were left behind. If you have any information you could help, call state police. Former Stone Academy students are filing a class action lawsuit against the school, which left more than 800 nursing students in limbo when it abruptly shut down earlier this year.
Yeah, they're looking for compensation and for punitive damages. They're saying the school promised education and training, but instead deceived and cheated them. Lindsay Kane is here in the studio with the details on that lawsuit. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Well, so far 8 students have signed on to that lawsuit, but there are more than 1,000 students that were impacted by this closure and could also sign on to that lawsuit. Now, Stone Academy closed its 3 campuses back in February. Students enrolled had no transcripts, no nursing licenses, and no future plans. Now, this lawsuit comes on top of an investigation from the state. Allegedly, Stone Academy misrepresented the credibility of its courses to its students. The lawsuit impacts Stone Academy students enrolled from 2018 through February 2023. Now, even Stone Academy students that graduated are being subject to a skills review course and additional hours of monitored clinical training. Since the school's closure, hundreds of former students are still waiting to hear about their credits and if they'll get their money back from the nursing school. Now, the state's Office of Higher Education says some of the school's teachers were unqualified to teach, and many of the clinical students took part in were not done properly and had violations. The law firm from Milford, Hurwitz, Sargon, Klossberg, and Nuff are representing the students in the class action suit that's expected to be officially filed in Waterbury Superior Court next week. Students are seeking compensation and punitive damages for being a part of, quote, a sinking ship. Now, the law firm says in part, quote, Stone Academy cheated them of an education and deceived them, collecting tens of thousands of dollars in tuition in exchange for deficient training, clinical programs that did not even meet regulatory standards, and hiring of at least 20% of its staff that were unqualified to be teaching the coursework. We also reached out to Stone Academy in response to this lawsuit. Their legal team says in part, quote, the lawsuit ignores the fact that the Connecticut Office of Higher Education and Department of Public Health forced Stone to close on short notice without legal justification and without following required processes to address exam passage rates or other concerns. OHE refused to allow a teach-out program for Stone students that would have avoided the disruptions alleged in the lawsuit. Now, a teach-out plan is a process that allows a student to finish their program of study at another school if their school were to close. OHE is still auditing transcripts for students to see if any credits can count towards their degrees and to see if they can apply for loan discharges and tuition refunds. But currently, no teach-out plan is in place. While 8 students are named in the lawsuit against Stone Academy, again, the exact number of students that joined that lawsuit won't be able to be determined until the litigation is fully underway. Tim and Erica, back over to you.
All right, Lindsay, thanks so much for the update there. Work is underway to find solutions to preventing violent incidents involving guns here in our state. Now, yesterday, community and faith leaders say they want lawmakers to set aside $20 million in funds for groups that are working to prevent violence. They're also calling for action on issues like affordable housing, health care, and education funding.
A lot of this legislation can have direct effects, especially the legislation that promises continuity of funding.
Across the city yesterday, Representative John Larson met with Mothers United Against Violence to deliver news of $500,000 in federal earmarks.
Today, New Haven officials are expected to announce a deal with the solar company Posigen to help residents convert to solar energy. The program will encourage more people to take out leases on solar equipment because there will be no income or credit score requirements, and there won't be upfront costs to install or even maintain the equipment. Well, new this morning in Bloomfield, crews had to work really hard to rescue a poor dog who got himself stuck inside of a pipe.
I know, poor little thing. Take a look at these pictures here from Bloomfield Fire Department of the dog right after the rescue. Firefighters say they were called to the scene on Tungus Avenue late yesterday morning when they realized they could not reach the dog since it had crawled about 50 feet inside of a 200-foot-long pipe. They had to call the DPW to help. They were able to dig up that section of pipe and save the dog. Thank goodness.
Dog, that's
I
a
know.
long way to go in, and I'm sure
50
he couldn't
feet
turn
down.
around. So
yeah, he probably thought, oh, there'll be a,
Yeah.
light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
there was not.
Just got further and further down and
All
stuck.
that digging. Look at all that digging they had to do. So good for them.